Vegas, baby, Vegas. Today on Game Day View, the Raiders host the first game in Sin City against the Saints? Shout out to ironic scheduling. If anyone needs me, I'll be by the pool.
Play clock at 5. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler. Unreal.
Ha, that'll never get old. The Pats are taking on the Seahawks, and who cares if it's Mr. Peanut instead of Tommy taking on Russ? We'll tell you who wins that one. But this show starts with two of the NFL's biggest stars facing off in the Lone Star State. Cue the star wipe. You're hearing Ricky Hollywood, and this is Game Day View. Here now, Cynthia Freeland, Greg Rosenthal, and Andrew Hawkins.
There you have it. Texans and Ravens. We're starting to chat there. What we're watching for. This is Game Day View. I'm going to start things off. I'm looking for Lamar Jackson. I'm looking for a huge rushing game from him. He lit it up in the air last week, and we've seen this process before. I think he has a huge game on the ground, showing he's still the most well-rounded quarterback in the NFL.
I think that you're totally right about Lamar Jackson. I also like Deshaun Watson in this one, but I want everyone to be a little careful in terms of total passing yards because I don't think they're going to combine for 600. I think that's ridiculous. I think it's going to be closer to 500 combined passing yards for both, about 250 apiece, kind of for different reasons. Lamar because that will get them the lead, and Deshaun because they'll be playing from behind.
I don't like when we agree too much to start the show, but I'm with you. Lamar Jackson looked so good last week, and he has such an easier matchup because the Texans' offensive line does not look very good. They struggled last week protecting Deshaun Watson. I think going against that blitz package that Baltimore runs, Hockey or Bengals team faced it a number of times. It's going to be tough for Watson to stay clean on Sunday.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, we'll get right into picks, actually. Right now, Ravens are favored by 7.5. I am going with the Ravens for a lot of the reasons you mentioned, Greg, because Texans just don't have enough around Deshaun Watson, where Lamar has an entire team of talented roster, and it's tough to overcome for the Texans.
I'm with you. I have 28-20 in favor of Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Like I said, not the highest scoring game on the slate, in my opinion. I think Mark Andrews sees the end zone, and I think Lamar Jackson could maybe go three touchdowns passing.
Ooh, I got it even higher scoring than that. I got the Ravens winning comfortably 34-21. Cynthia has Freeland's finest on Thursdays. This would be my finest pick of the day, just the Ravens rolling on Sunday. I think it's going to be a better game in Philadelphia. It's the battle of my daughter's two favorite teams, the Rams and the Eagles. That's how I'm thinking about it, at least. Look, this is a great matchup. I need to see a little bit more out of Carson Wentz, but he's going to have more help today. We'll wait for the inactives to come out, but it sure looks like their right tackle, Lane Johnson, is going to be back. Javon Hargrave might be back. On the defensive line, Derek Barnett is back. Miles Sanders is back. So the Eagles were missing 7 starters in their Week 1 game. That was more than any team in the league, and so they're going to be a lot healthier today to get a big win for them.
Okay, so I want to bring up Miles Sanders, who's one of those starters that was not playing Week 1, is playing now. We did hear from Doug Peterson that there could be a snap count kind of thing going on. So if you're playing him in fantasy, just factor that into everything that you're looking at. But I do think that makes a big difference, taking some of the pressure off of Carson Wentz. The Lane Johnson thing is huge. The offensive line just in general is huge. So ultimately, just like I said, temper your expectations for Miles Sanders in fantasy. But I think it's a big uptick for the Eagles overall.
Like I talked about, I expect Aaron Donald to have a big game. I expect him to wreak havoc against this Eagles offensive line. But to your point, Greg and Cynthia, consistency is the biggest question mark for Carson Wentz. With all these pieces that are coming back, right, and it is going to help. It should put him in a better position. We watched last week, the beginning part of that game, that wasn't the issue. What hurt them was his consistency down the stretch. So that's what I'm watching for in this football game.
All right, the Eagles are at home. They are favored by 1. I'll kick off the picks. I got the Eagles winning. I think they need the game more. Sometimes that's what it comes down to. Again, a very confusing day here. My daughter's going to have on an Eagles shirt and a Rams hat. Support your kids. If they want to like 2 teams, just let them like 2 teams. It kind of helps you out. If one team has a bad season, the other one might play well. So I'm totally fine with sports rooting bigamy. What's up?
I actually think your daughter has it completely right because this is going to be a 1-point game. I have 23-22 in favor of the Rams, but we haven't seen the actives and actives yet, so that could actually flip. I think your daughter just has picked a really evenly matched game, so you got to kind of pay attention to the injury report here because I could change my mind once we see who's playing.
I'm going with the Rams. I think they're riding high from last week. A lot of confidence. I think Jalen Ramsey has a big game. I think Aaron Donald has a big game. Like I said earlier, I think he's literally going to rip this offensive line to shreds, and not just by affecting the game. He always affects the game. I'm talking about on the stat sheet. Expect a big game from AD.
Love it.
All right, next up, I guess it's on me. We got the Falcons and the Cowboys. This is one of those games where me and Greg are going to disagree. I just think the Cowboys are way too talented. Hey, I don't care. I'm putting it out there. We've been going back and forth on the show on Twitter. You got Falcons fans tweeting me all over the place. So I expect Zeke to have another big game this week. Last week, he was the workhorse in the passing game. He was the workhorse in the running game. I expect that to continue this week because the Falcons haven't showed me enough to make me feel like they can stop him.
When you look at both of these games, you think, okay, we didn't know. Greg thought he knew the Falcons defense, right, Greg? Anyways, Greg, we didn't know the Falcons defense, and we knew that the Cowboys secondary was an issue, was a question. It was just that we were a little confused last week that the Cowboys offense didn't seem to be what we expected them to be. In this game, I think both offenses have huge games. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game because both Matt Ryan and Dak Prescott, they're going to pass for a bunch of yards.
Right. I think the Cowboys are going to have to score a ton to keep up with the Falcons. The Cowboys lost Anthony Brown, one of their starting cornerbacks during the week. We don't know if Tyron Smith, their left tackle, is 100%. And you better be on your P's and Q's when you're facing Matty Ice towards the end of his career. He's hungry. He wants to get back to the Super Bowl. I love Calvin Ridley, and I love this wide receiver core. I really do think that the Falcons defense, maybe not so great, but I think the Falcons offense can keep up with Dallas in a shootout. So no matter what happens, I expect a lot of points. Your fantasy players should all get theirs on Sunday in this week.
Well, let's get to the picks now. The Cowboys are favored by 3.5. I'll kick things off. I am going with the Cowboys, Greg. I do think they have the ability to score a bunch of points. I think you're right about Calvin Ridley. He's a beast. But I just think the Cowboys have too much firepower, and they're going to win this one.
I'm with you on that one. I have the Cowboys by 5 points, 29-24. The difference maker here is the consistency of Ezekiel Elliott, the ability for him to just change the game. Now, I know Todd Gurley's on the other side, but I have yet to see, and my model has yet to accept that Todd Gurley is going to be a thing, right? So you should be playing him in fantasy, but in terms of relating it to wins, Ezekiel Elliott really anchors that offense.
Why am I always on an island on this show? It's always me picking against you two. I got the Falcons winning. It's 36-35. It's me and the 7 Falcons fans that are out there in the country. They're all tweeting at Hawk, and there's 5 billion Cowboys fans. Well, we're fighting the power today, and I would love to see Cowboys fans just panicking at 0-2. That's right. I'm rooting against you, Cowboys fans. 36-35 Falcons. Let's move on to a game that I'm really excited to watch. Minnesota versus Indianapolis. And I'm looking to see if the Phillip Rivers we saw in every pass except those 2 interceptions is back, because he looked really comfortable in sync. They moved the ball really well a week ago, and he's going up against a Minnesota defense that really struggled, not just in the secondary, and that's where there's a lot of new players, but there's a lot of new players up front too. So I think this is a Vikings team you can run against. I don't think they're going to get much pass rush on Phillip Rivers, and that could lead to a lot of points in this game.
I love that you said all of the passes except the interceptions that he threw, because that's Phillip Rivers' entire career in one sentence. Yeah. That was perfect. The interesting part for me on this one is Mike Zimmer's defense did not look like a Mike Zimmer defense last week against the Packers. Now, I do think that gets under control in this one. They did lose Danielle Hunter quite late. Yes, Cam Dantzler, which is one of their rookie corners, is not going to be playing, expected to be playing, and ultimately that is a problem. However, that guy, Kid Cuzzy, I think against the defense on the Colts, is going to have an advantage in this one. I think it's going to be interesting to see how Dalvin Cook will keep the play action honest on the Vikings offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I like what Phillip Rivers has shown. I still think he has some juice, but I just question the run game. I think that is the basis of their entire offense, and also the catalyst for how well Phillip Rivers plays without Marlon Mack. That's what I question here. So that's what I'm watching for now.
Ooh. We always kind of give away where we're going with these picks early. The Colts are favored by 3 points in this game, and I do have them winning. This is a big game. Both of these teams have playoff aspirations, and you do not want to start 0-2. But I think the Colts are more complete than Minnesota on both sides of the ball.
I'm completely opposite of you. I have the Vikings taking this one in the upset. I have 24-22 in favor of the Purple People Eaters.
I love it. I'm with Cynthia here. I'm going with the Vikings for the reasons I said. You're right, Greg. We do tip the picks, but I don't know if anybody's out there hanging on a cliffhanger for the next 4 seconds. Like, oh, nope, they said it. I know where they're going now.
This is bullying. What's going on right now?
All right, next up we got the Panthers at the Bucs. Yeah, I mean, what I'm watching for here is I want to see the Buccaneers bounce back. I think that Tom Brady was obviously let down by their performance against New Orleans a week ago, and he has some things to fix. No Chris Godwin, watching out for that. And I really expect Rob Gronkowski to start looking like the Gronkowski of old. I think he's knocking some rust off, but I still believe.
Look, when I look at this game, I'm with you. I still believe in Gronk too, and I also want to because I root for fun. But ultimately in this one, I think the Matt Rule situation and Joe Brady making Christian McCaffrey sort of work, right? Like if you saw the last 2 outings that Christian McCaffrey had against this Todd Bowles defense, he had a combined 110 scrimmage yards, that's like a first half for Christian McCaffrey usually. So I think that Matt Rule, Joe Brady switching this offense, that's going to make a difference on that side of the ball. But ultimately, I still think the Tampa Bay Bucs have just so much firepower on their offense. So I think this is going to be a more exciting game than maybe we thought.
Yeah, I think Tom Brady has a lot more support. I know that he's not going to have Chris Godwin, but he's got a better defense. And I love this matchup. He's going up against a Panthers defense that, to me, is about as talent poor in the secondary as just about anyone. So this is a perfect game for Tom Brady to get right. I listened to him this weekend on the Dax Shepard podcast. My wife listens to it, and she said it was a good listen. He sounds very centered. He sounds very cool. Like, he sounds like he's ready to rule the world. So even though he had a bad week 1, I am believing in Tom Brady.
All right, let's get to some picks here. Bucs are favored by 8.5. Wow, that's a big one. So okay, I'm going with the Bucs. Yeah, I just think exactly what you said. The defense on the Panthers, a lot of question marks in the secondary, and a motivated Tom Brady is a scary thing, as we've seen for the last 77 years in the NFL.
Okay, well, I have an 8-point win, so that's a pretty big win. 28-20 in favor of the Buccaneers. I agree completely about the Tom Brady revenge narrative. However, for fantasy purposes, I think Rojo does have a great opportunity to score a touchdown, especially his use and his efficiency in the red zone last week. So if you're looking for a fantasy running back, make sure that you have Rojo in your lineup. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey is going to have a better game too, so you don't need to fade him in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I'm with you. The running game is going to be great for the Bucs. I think they score plenty. I do have it a little closer, just a 7-point game. So the Bucs are getting a lot of respect as huge favorites. I think the Panthers offense can keep it competitive, make it a fun game to watch down there in Tampa today. We're going to take a little break, but we will be back with some more picks right after this.
Ooh. Stretch it out, Carson. Yeah.
I mean, this is like the kind of stretching I do. This is not too intense.
Yeah, man. Gotta get those knees loose.
Danny Dimes. Stepping up his wardrobe game, I guess. I mean, that looks better than what Eli would be doing, right?
Well, last year he just went with the Catholic schoolboy look with no tie last year. Now he's got a blazer.
Yeah.
I like the backpack. He's keeping it schoolboy, you know? Got to keep it.
There's like no reason. There's no reason to dress up during a pandemic. I can't remember the last time I dressed up or even wore nice sneakers. I should be wearing some nice sneakers for this game. I'm excited for it. Bears versus Giants. Bears are favored by 5.5. That's a lot of love for Mitchell Trubisky. I'm taking the Giants in this game right off the top. I have them winning this game by a point because of that man we just saw, Danny Dimes. I really do think he's going to have a big-time second-year leap. Maybe as much as anyone in that class. Him and Kyler Murray, I really think he can be in that upper echelon, a better-than-average starting quarterback, make good decisions. And I know the Bears' defense is good. I don't think it's as good as the Steelers were a week ago. And I think the Giants can put up some points. I think they'll be a little friskier this year than they were a year ago. What say you, Cynthia?
I'm going with the opposite again, just maybe to spite you, but that's what my model does, I guess. Ultimately, I have Bears 24, Giants 17, but I'm keeping a look at Akeem Hicks because he's been on the injury report. So obviously interior pressure is a big deal. And Danny Dimes, which again, I can't get down with that nickname quite yet, but Daniel Jones. I can't deal with it. I'm just trying to fit in. Anyways, until Daniel Jones shows me a little bit more, I want that interior pressure to be gone. I do think Saquon has a much better game than last time in terms of fantasy output. So I think it's going to be an interesting ground game for the Giants. If they can get it going a little bit more on the ground, it will help out. But I think ultimately Bears win.
You know what? You got to get used to the Danny Dimes. It's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. We're in year 2 now. I know. I didn't like it either, but you know the world changes and we got to embrace it. I'm going with the Bears as well, though. I'm with you, Cynthia. As you are always right and Greg is always wrong, so I know I'm on the right side of history here. I am going with the Bears. I'm going to give Mitch Trubisky the benefit of the doubt. I liked what I seen late last game, and I'm expecting him to keep it going. I expect him to outplay Danny Dimes in this game. All right, next up, we have the Lions at the Packers. The Packers are favored by 6. And I am going with the Packers as much as I love a lot of the players the Lions have, even the coaches. I like some of the coaches they have going too. But, I mean, after watching last week, I don't know how you can go into this week and feel confident about picking Detroit over the Packers. Packers played well. A lot of those, second-tier receivers on their team behind Devontae Adams, they stepped their game up. That was a big question mark for their offense. So if they can get that kind of production out of their receivers and we get the Aaron Rodgers we seen a week ago, it is going to be tough for the Detroit Lions to stop them.
So I have the Packers in this one, but I think it's going to be closer than expected. I have 27-23. The reason for this is because for whatever reason, Matt Patricia does have the Aaron Rodgers cheat code, and he figures out those leverages that pretty much it doesn't stop Aaron Rodgers. It just slows him down a little bit more than you might think. So obviously in fantasy purposes, we have some changes. So no Kenny Golladay means Quintez Cephas is someone who you could look at if you need a wide receiver. Maybe you had Chris Godwin and all of a sudden you need a switch. So that's one to consider in that one. And I think the Devontae Adams touchdown and an Aaron Jones touchdown, both of those are pretty much guaranteed.
Wow.
Book 'em.
I love the confidence. I'm going with the Packers too in this game. I have it a little more comfortable, winning by more than 10 points. You know, there's a reason why they're going to give Kenny Golladay a huge contract extension because he's their best receiver. No offense to Marvin Jones, who was on the show, but Galladay's great, and now you're replacing him with Quintez Cephas, a rookie, 10 targets last week, didn't do too much with it, and I just think the Packers are more complete, and they'll be able to shut down Matthew Stafford. Let's go Broncos. Steelers coming up next. The Steelers are favored by 6.5 in this game. Keep an eye out on the Steelers' offensive line. Before we last saw you on Thursday, we found out they're going to be missing 3 of their starters, and that makes it a little more complicated for this Steelers team. So yes, they have matchups on the outside that I like, but their offensive line could struggle. I still have the Steelers winning this game. I think it's the toughest matchup Drew Lock has ever faced as a young quarterback in the NFL. This is only his 7th start, and the Steelers defense is plenty healthy. So that side of the ball is not going to be a problem, and I think they slow down Drew Lock.
Okay, so I have 24-16 in favor of the Steelers. You're right. The entire right side of their O-line is a big mess, the Steelers. And also, we've got some interesting running back situation. You could have Benny Snell in fantasy purposes if you're looking for someone to pick in that regard. I also totally agree about the Steelers defense being the hardest Drew Lock has faced. It's probably the hardest that most quarterbacks are going to face in this season. So that Steelers defense and their ability to bring pressure is really what changes the complexion of this one. And of course, the running game on the other side, you have Melvin Gordon. It is an interesting opportunity with Philip Lindsay not playing.
Yeah, I'm looking for the Steelers to have a big game. I liked what I seen last week. I mean, but what I would take a look at is the Broncos now have KJ Hamler into the lineup this week. I'm pretty sure. And when it comes to separation, if you like what you've seen out of Jerry Jeudy, you're going to like the same thing out of KJ Hamler. These were the two best route runners coming into the draft. You talk about separation. The same thing I loved about Deontay Johnson, both of these receivers have. So I do expect a little bit boost from the Broncos offense with KJ Hamler in the offense. But I still have the Steelers winning and walking away with the W. Next up, we're going to New York. 49ers at the Jets. 49ers are favored by 7. I'll start things off right away. I'm going with the 49ers. Man, they dropped a disappointing one last week. So we're really going to see what this team is made of, specifically the coaching staff. Because it's just one of those teams that, and there's few of them, that when they play good, the coaching staff is who gets the credits. And when they play bad, it's our responsibility to also call them on that too. So I expect a good game from the 49ers to, avenge the output they had last week against Kyler Murray and the Cardinals.
I'm with you. I have the same thing. I have 25-17 in favor of the 49ers. If you're looking for a replacement for George Kittle, who's not playing, you could look at Mo Alley Cox for the Colts, or you could look actually at Logan Thomas for the Washington Football Club if you need that last-minute substitution. They're not going to get you Kittle points, but it's going to be something to at least get you some points in this one. I think it could be a very sleepy start to this game. So look for a slow start the first half to have not a lot of points.
So specific there with the first half prediction, Cynthia. I'm with you. I have the 49ers winning this game comfortably. Man, we have so little respect for the Jets because the 49ers don't have any players. I mean, they lost their All-Pro Richard Sherman. They lost their All-Pro George Kittle. D Ford's not in this game. There's a score of other 49ers out, and yet we're still thinking, they'll win the game pretty easy. No one's really arguing with that. That's how bad the Jets are looking early this season. Dolphins didn't look too good either last week. Dolphins are hosting the Bills. This is a big game for Miami. Buffalo is favored by 5.5 in this game. I have Buffalo winning, despite the fact that their two starting linebackers, Matt Milano and Tremaine Edmonds, who are really good players, are both out for them. So if there's an area to attack, it's definitely there in coverage and on the ground. If Miami can't win this game, I really think they could be one of the teams that are competing for the number 1 overall draft pick next April.
Wow. I have 25-18 in favor of the Bills. I'm with you about the Dolphins. I'm really interested. I think before we get into number 1 draft pick territory, when do we see Tua? That's my question.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's not against the Buffalo Bills defense because the pressure is intense and that is a really great defense. But I guess my question is what happens first? They get a low draft pick or we see Tua Tagovailoa?
I'm going with the upset. I'm going Dolphins in Miami. It's going to be hot. Their middle linebackers are out. Everyone's riding high. They think they're the toast of the town in that division. It's time for Ryan Fitzpatrick to smack him in the mouth with a big game and then go back to the normal Ryan Fitzpatrick we see. This is my upset pick this week. I'm going with the Dolphins.
Just one upset pick. Come on. That's it? That's all you got? One a week?
That's it. You get one.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. There goes a cowboy.
That's
He
Dak.
can't find pants that aren't tight. You know what I mean? It's just impossible.
It's a real problem. It's a real problem. I don't even know what to make of this. I think our producer is spending a lot of time in Texas. I think he's starting to really adapt to the cowboy life, so he had to include this.
Oh,
Okay.
Jimmy G stretching it out.
Squat. There we go. Get those
my favorite
quads
thing-
all nice and stretched out. What do you think he's
My
listening
favorite
to?
thing, well, the favorite thing I've ever heard about Jimmy G was what you guys said last week. He's getting a little old to be young, and I don't think I've ever identified with something more.
Come on, I've been waiting for this all day. Give me your quick fix.
Come on.
Sorry, Ricky. All right, let's get the quick fix now. Washington at Arizona. Arizona is favored by 7, and I'm going with Arizona, man. What I seen out of Kyler Murray last week was very encouraging on my part. I was already big on him this year. I said before the season, don't be surprised if he's in the MVP conversation late, and he didn't do anything in the first week to make me feel differently. I expect a big game out of him. I expect Chase Young to be chasing him around all over the field, but I expect Kyler Murray to make a lot of big plays.
I'm with you. I have an 8-point win, 27-19 against the Washington football team. The best way to escape pressure, like Chase Young type pressure, which is great pressure, is to run. And Kyler Murray can use his feet. I think he's going to have quite a few yards on the ground, maybe 50, something like that is a good estimate, which that, by the way, that's kind of half of last week.
Oof, yeah. We love the short guys here. So Kyler, he's getting it done. I don't think it's going to be by a huge margin. Let's not give them too much respect right off the bat. They're still a young team, but they get the job done. They win the game. Let's see if the Chiefs can win another game in the division. They're playing the Chargers this week. The Chargers defense has done a good job against them in the past. The Chiefs are favored by 8.5. And you know what? I have the Chiefs winning by even more than that because I think Anthony Lynn's conservative play calling style in terms of really relying on the run, that's not going to fly. You can run the ball and you can kick field goals against the Chiefs, but you can't trade 3 points for 7 against Kansas City. And I think that's what the Chiefs will be doing on Sunday.
Nothing conservative about this top I'm wearing, and nothing conservative about my pick either. 29-19 in favor of the team that has the person that we're paying homage to with this. Who scores a touchdown in this one? Tyreek Hill. Cheetah. I might be a rainbow cheetah. He's a real cheetah, real fast. I'm just a rainbow one.
I love it. I'm going Chiefs too, man. For all the reasons you guys said. And when you say that Anthony Lynn's conservative play calling, I do think that's a big part of it. I also need Tyrod to take some chances. To Keenan Allen specifically, he is an X factor on this offense. You got to get him involved. And if they don't do that a lot, there's just no way they can keep up with the Chiefs. All right, next up, we're going Patriots at the Seahawks. Seahawks are favored by 4 in this matchup. I'm going with the Seahawks. I think the Russell Wilson 2020 MVP tour continues this week. You heard him this week on, I forget what show it was on, but he said he thinks he is the best quarterback in the NFL. I'm telling you, this guy is out for blood. He is mad that his name is not in that conversation any longer, and it should be, and he's going to put up a big show this week.
I think that they get the win, but I think it's closer. I think 24-22 is a little bit more like it. Why? Well, we know Bill Belichick and defenses are kind of the way things go. Also, we got some extra motivation in terms of, Cam Newton now, also another running quarterback, mobile quarterback. He's showed that he's kind of probably back, right? You saw him be a little feisty at the end of that game. I think they keep it closer. 2-point win.
I have the Seahawks winning this game by 8 points. That hurts me. I can't remember the last time I picked against the Patriots in any format, much less by a touchdown. This just feels like a game. They're going to get better as the season goes along. Their passing game, I don't think is going to be quite there now compared to where it is in November. Seattle's a little more ready. This is the first game that they haven't been expected to win in 4+ years. I mean, that is absolutely ridiculous. Finally, we're wrapping up Monday Night Football. Saints, Raiders, fun game. Saints are favored by 5.5 in this one. I have the Saints winning by 3. I think this is a game where we come out of it, even though Michael Thomas is now officially out, feeling better about the Saints offense. You really can rely on Alvin Kamara in this game against a Raiders team, not really strong up front or at linebacker. It's just not a strong defense. You get Jared Cook involved. You do enough to get the win in Vegas.
I think 3 points is exactly what I have too. 26-23 Saints win this one. Alvin Kamara, huge game. In fact, most of the Michael Thomas touches to me got ticked up to Alvin Kamara. Maybe Jared Cook is like an outside sleeper pick if you're really desperate at tight end. But the linebacker position is really the depleted linebacker position for the Raiders is really what drove that change.
Love it. Huge, huge game out of Alvin Kamara today. On the ground, in the air specifically. Yeah, I'm going big with him. No Michael Thomas. I think he's going to be the X factor on the offense for the Saints. And, I got to start showing the Raiders more love, man. I don't know why I'm just not feeling it yet. I gotta dig in and give them the benefit of the doubt. I think it's going to be a little closer than people imagine.
Okay, we got to do it. It's time. More or less. We have to play it. You ready? All right, we're going to go kind of quick on this.
Let's do it.
Vikings at Colts. More or less than 49 points.
Ooh-wee. Love it. Kid, when you get Kid Cuzzy and Philip Rivers in the same, stadium, forget about it. Way up.
I'm going less.
Less.
I'm going less.
24-22. Less. Okay, Lions at Packers. More or less than 48 points. 48.
I'm going above once again.
27-23 is what I've got. That adds up to 50. Okay, Bills at Dolphins.
I feel like
more or less.
Us off.
I love it. More or less than 41 points. Bills at Dolphins.
Ooh. There's been a lot of scoring in general, so going more is smart right now. They're not calling any penalties in the NFL. You wish you played in this NFL hawk where they don't call penalties anymore.
I'm little. All they did was hold me.
Okay. Ravens
I said I'm
at
little. All they
Texans.
did was hold me.
All they do is hold you. All they do is hold you. More or less than 52 points. Ravens at Texans.
Why you below there, Cynthia?
What? Look, I have 28-20, which is 48 total points. I think it's going to be slower, a little bit more on the ground. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think you had to factor in all of those things, and I don't know if I think the Texans offense is going to do a good job of scoring.
I expect a little bit more than that, but I'm with you. It's okay. I'm always wrong on more or less. That's one thing I'm not great at. All right, let's get to some parting advice from the click here. Greg, you start us off. Give us some parting advice for the viewers out of there going into week 2.
Yeah, one thing I noticed, there's a lot of assumptions, people giving a little too much respect to teams that don't deserve it right off the bat in week 2. So don't be so quick to just expect blowout victories. I'm thinking about specific teams here. The Titans as like a blowout win, no. The Cardinals being a huge favorite, don't get it. The Bucs coming off a pretty bad week 1 as some monster favorite, I don't think so. And then the Bears. I mean, Mitchell Trubisky has one good quarter against 3 injured cornerbacks and people going crazy. So a lot of heavy favorites that I'm not too into today.
I love it. So I'm kind of going the opposite, right? I'm saying that Minnesota and the Vikings, they're going to right the Viking ship, keep it going, right? Because Kid Cuzzy, I'm going to play back to I got to play the hits. I mean, Hawk picks for my model with me all the time. So we're just going to try to, pick against Greg.
I have no parting advice for you. Don't sweat the petty stuff. Don't pet the sweaty stuff, all right? All right, that does it for us here on Game Debut. We will see you guys back again on Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern.